The saddest moments on paternity court.
I could feel my son, but I didn't know if it was just me wanting to be a grandma. But she's so adorable and
You still my daughter. You heard her say, you still my daughter.
Miss Harrod was on a mission to prove that the late Justin was the father of her 3-year-old daughter, Star. And while the defendant denied paternity, her hopes were high. Buckle up, folks, because this paternity mystery was bound to make you feel all sorts of emotions, particularly sad ones.
It's been a very hard stressor on me because I know who my other girls' dads are, and it beats me up every day.
And I see how emotional you are right now. So you opened today's case for Star.
Yes, Your Honor.
So here's the scoop. Baby mama and Justin's relationship started off like a sitcom plot. Interesting start. Apparently, she was living with another man, but that wasn't enough, so spice things up. Yep, you guessed it right, hooked up with the baby daddy, who was also her neighbor, it appears. Affairs and secrets lurking behind these picket fences, huh?
And we just kind of connected as friends, and I was in a very bad relationship at that time. He was there as a support group. It just went further from there. We would hang out daily.
For how long? How many months?
It was about, before I moved, we were there for about 3 months.
Well, looky here. Grandma knew her son was with someone, but labeled it as complicated. Now imagine Miss Harrod's shocker when she thought she had the flu, but turned out to be pregnant. Way to make it uncomplicated, huh? The kicker though, she kept it a secret from Justin for months.
He texted me one day, we started talking, and I told him, hey, I've got this daughter, there's a possibility she's yours, and he accepted it.
He accepted that?
Yes.
So at 6 months, when you're 6 months pregnant, you said, I'm gonna have a little girl and she's possibly yours.
Yes.
So when did the news finally drop? At 6 months pregnant, apparently. Ultimately, the grandma got to know about this development as well. Well, just the baby, not the baby mama. And she was ecstatic. But then tragedy struck. Big time.
for sure who it was at first. I mean, he had mentioned Jessica to me a couple times about him being in a relationship. He said, but it was kind of complicated. And then he had mentioned that there may be a baby. He's pretty sure that he's going to be a daddy. But then, like I said, he passed away and we never got to find out.
Next up, Miss Walther recalled the time she met baby Star for the first time. And it was wholesome. She felt her son in the baby girl, and her grandma instincts kicked right in. Better get some tissues, folks.
I could feel my son, but I didn't know if it was just me wanting to be a grandma. But she's so adorable and she won my heart that night. We had a cookout and we played and talked, and I gave her some candy and different stuff. And she's a doll. She's a little doll.
The window of conception? Well, folks, that's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in a windstorm. Star's birthday is April 27th, and the green dates on the calendar suggest some steamy nights. But here's the catch. Miss Harrod was also intimate with her boyfriend during this time, without protection. Cue the confusion and desperation.
Yeah, it's like I felt something in my heart, and then certain ways, actions that she did, she looked like Justin. I mean, it was like I was seeing my little Justin all over again.
You could think about him when he was a child.
Yes.
And you felt like her mannerisms or the way she looked.
Up next, picture evidence comes up, and the defendant accepts that she does see the resemblance. Moreover, she also claimed the baby had a few habits that she apparently picked up from her supposed daddy. This got me right in my feelings, man.
Star's birth date is on April 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
So she was born then, and the green outlines the months and the days that you say you were intimate with Justin fairly regularly while your boyfriend was at work.
Yes, Your Honor.
Grandma might be standing at the defendant's podium, but it was clear as day she wanted that baby to be her grandchild. Well, that's one way to raise the stakes. Moreover, she brought along something for the baby to enjoy in the absence of the father. Now, that's sweet as heck.
It's granddaughter's little book on of love, and it has different pictures in it.
Oh, you filled it with pictures of Justin.
Yeah.
So she could have pictures of her dad.
Yes.
If in fact he is determined to be her biological
Right.
father.
In due time, when she's old enough to understand,
Enough with the tears, because now was the most important part of the whole ordeal. Yup, the results were in and ready to be revealed. Let's see if this grandma gets one last remaining piece of her son in the form of baby Star or not.
The percentage of relatedness is 0.05%. You are not related. I'm so very sorry. I know, Ms. Walther, this was a moment where you were hoping that there was a surviving piece of your son. I feel for you.
For 3 long decades, Miss Joseph believed her father was long gone from this world. Now, imagine her shock as her mother revealed a long-held secret on her deathbed. Her biological father was very much still alive, and so she began the quest of a lifetime. And the last stop was the paternity court.
For 30 years, Your Honor, I knew my dad was dead. So when my mother, on her deathbed before she died, she told me, she gave me a name, Billy Raff Kilgore, Mr. Kilgore. And from that, I ran on that name.
Now, these guys were meeting for the first time, and it was sweet. Oh yeah, time to shed light on Mama Joseph and Mr. Kilgore's relationship. Well, it started with a sizzle, but ended with a whimper. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. These guys had secrets though. They had significant others. Yep, good old infidelity stuck out its ugly little head.
I met her mother. Her and I had an affair.
Okay.
We just kind of weaned off because, I had a girlfriend and she had a boyfriend.
Okay. So you all just kind of let it fizzle out.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever remember hearing that Miss Joseph's mom was pregnant?
No, ma'am.
Well, the doubts and reservations surrounding this case were quite real and very much present. So much so that poor daughter could revel in the fact that she might have found her father because of the doubts lurking in the backside of her head. Man, that's sad.
I was nervous. I was happy because he sounded like he felt like I was his daughter. So when
So you felt like he was receptive?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. And it was just amazing.
And so you really felt full?
Yes.
You felt like there was a
I felt full, but I wasn't sure.
Still doubtful?
Still doubtful.
Never in her wildest dreams would Miss Joseph have thought that her brother's chance encounter with a woman would end up giving her the answer she had been so desperately searching for. That's what happened though, and here's how it went down.
My sister introduced me to a young lady, and we began to be friends and share a lot of family information because we both come from the same town. And she told me the name, Kilgore came up, that her mother was in that family, and I remembered that's the name my mother gave us.
The stakes were through the roof on this one, because Miss Joseph had no other name, so no other lead to pursue her search any further. It'll be a bad thing if this doesn't pan out. Time to roll the dice of paternity.
Mr. Billy Kilgore, you are not her father.
So you steal my daughter. What I say? You steal.
2 baby daddies and 1 kid. Who could be the real deal? A regular feature of Paternity Court if we've ever seen one, huh? Mr. Flowers already had a bond established with the baby, but the doubts and reservations were a real thorn in his side.
You've actually bonded with Callie. You named her.
Yes. Every time I walk in the room, she smile. Like, Daddy is here. Like, she smile, like, big smile. She love me. She really love me. I can't imagine Callie not being mine.
But you have doubt.
Yeah, I have doubt. Everybody gonna have doubt.
Mr. Flowers and Miss Diaz, a match made in heaven. Or maybe not. Their relationship, best described as oil and water, they said so themselves. It had more ups and downs than a roller coaster. But what drove Miss Diaz to seek comfort in the arms of another man? Well, we'll see about that.
She like to creep around. When I get her mad, she like to slither away. She give me this some type of attitude like, oh, I don't want to be with you. We never gonna work. Except for standing still and saying, hey, let's try to make this work. Stop trying to go to the next man and find love, because your love is right here.
Hold on, the plot thickens. Apparently, the baby mama claimed to be in love with both guys. Yeah, you heard that right. However, only one was willing to step up and be the father, and this led the plaintiff to ask some very important questions. Hope the mother has the answers.
You was in love with 2 guys. You'll be confused too.
And so you feel like that's what she is in love with 2 people.
Yes.
And that's how you end up here in this courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor.
believing you're not Callie's father because you believe this other gentleman, Mr. Bowman, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you hear those accusations? Man, they were serious. But guess what? The baby mama accepted all of those and more. It seemed she had a hard time staying alone and committed in a relationship. So she jumped ship.
Well, I was in a rough time in my life at that time. I felt like Mr. Flowers wasn't giving me the support I needed emotionally or financially for us to be able to make a relationship work. I'm sure that he's the father because I was only with him during the time of conception.
Wow, woman! Finally, Miss Diaz put on her big girl pants and decided to tell Mr. Flowers the joyous news. But boy, did she choose the wrong time to deliver that kind of news. Get a grip, woman. Have some mercy on the poor lad.
Then I get this call. I'm like, I haven't saw this number in a while. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what she want. You know what I'm saying? Probably want to kick it. Probably remember it's my birthday or something. And she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what?
And so when she said this to you, did she say, and you're the father, or you are one of the potential fathers?
She said one of the potential fathers. She came straight with me.
The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. The plaintiff was desperate for the answers, and his heart was beating fast. All depended on the contents of the envelope, and the judge was ready to deliver the verdict.
Mr. Flowers, you are not the father. Ms. Diaz, is there something else missing from the calendar?
The week after, I was intimate with another guy. In July, I was living with another guy.
In a courtroom far, far away, Mr. Hoffman stood on the precipice of solving a 30-year-old mystery. Is Mr. Wolf his long-lost son? This answer had been nagging at the back of his mind for all these years. Mr. Wolf only got to know about this possibility a while ago. Let's dive right into solving this riddle.
My sister had introduced me to Mr. Wolf's mother, but at the time I was an over-the-road truck driver, so I was gone a lot. So I never knew that she had gotten pregnant. My older sister informed me that Mr. Wolf's mother had a baby.
Now picture this. Mr. Hoffman, an over-the-road truck driver, met Mr. Wolf's mother through his older sister. Yeah, she set them up. But it was a one-time thing, as the guy's life was on the road. So he had no idea the said woman became pregnant, and he had a kid he knew nothing about.
I wasn't quite sure because being on the road all the time, I didn't know if she was having relationships with someone else.
So, Mr. Wolf, did you ever hear of this man's name growing up?
No, Your Honor. There's always been a question mark there.
Now imagine Mr. Wolf, who never heard baby daddy's name while growing up. The doubts festered like a villain's sinister plan over here. The plaintiff found young Wolf abandoned at his sister's house when he was just a little boy, and after going through some trouble, managed to take him home with him. Alas, that situation only lasted for a little while.
We arrived at her house, and Mr. Wolf and his younger brother were at my sister's, and his mother had left them there for 3 weeks and never contacted my sister. And we contacted all the legal people, child services and that, because most of the time that me and his mother were together, majority of the time I was his father.
Well, after taking him home, Mr. Hoffman invited some serious trouble to knock at his door. The end result of that was he lost his son, and a void took his place. Fast forward, and after all that time, he saw him now, and he recalled that heartbreaking tragedy that broke him.
San Bernardino Sheriff's Department came to her home. They threatened me with a warrant for interstate flight and kidnapping of a minor.
Really?
I told him that no matter how long it takes, I'm gonna find him, and I hope.
The desperation in the room was palpable, folks. The plaintiff really wanted him to be his son, as he very well could be the last Hoffman. The good old Facebook struck again, as after all that time, the baby daddy got to know about the whereabouts of the long-lost son.
Message, hi James, my name is Helen. I believe I'm your aunt. Your father has been looking for you for 25 years. You look just like our family. I don't know how much you know about your father or whom you believe to be your father.
Man, it was a roller coaster of emotions, with the weight of 30 years of searching bearing down, and quite heavily, may I add. All eyes were on the envelope holding the results. So, let's get right to it. I hope the man got to hear those 4 magical words.
It has been determined by this court that Mr. Hoffman, you are his father.
Mary, she's the one that found your picture on Facebook.